Lemon Nation, I'm Tara Setmayer, and it's time for this week's Setmayer Sound Off. Okay, folks, we've now entered the we don't give a damn about court orders and let's just threaten to impeach judges who don't agree with us phase of the Trump-Musk administration's mission to completely destroy our democracy in America. Yay us! Oh, and yes, there's DOGE updates too. This time they involve guns and forcibly entering private organizations. Yes, you've heard me correctly, guns! I'll get to that in a minute. What Trump and Musk are doing is a direct assault on the foundational principles of our nation. And this is not hyperbole, this is not partisan spin, this is the reality. And we ignore it all at our own peril. Every American needs to understand what's happening right now in our country. President Trump and his allies, including Musk, have launched unprecedented attacks on our judicial system. They're not just criticizing judges. They're literally threatening them with impeachment for rulings that they don't like. Now, that's not how a democracy works. That's how authoritarian regimes operate. Now, I'm sure you've heard by now about this controversial deportations of alleged, and I emphasize alleged, illegal alien gang members to a notoriously brutal prison in El Salvador. They made this big, highly produced spectacle of prisoners arriving, shaving their heads, shackled, hauling them off, like, get those criminals out of here, blah, blah, blah. But here's the problem with this. Those deportations are potentially unconstitutional because Donald Trump is invoking a rarely used law called the Alien Enemies Act of 1789. It's only been used 3 other times in U.S. history: the War of 1812, World War I, and World War II. So Chief Judge James Boasberg issued a temporary restraining order to halt these deportations using this Alien Enemies Act because one of the conditions of using it is we have to be at war. Well, newsflash, we're not at war. And there's some serious other questions about the legality of how this was all being handled. Now, the judge said, literally, turn the planes around because due process hadn't been done, among other things. Turn the planes around. But the Trump administration completely ignored the order, claiming that, well, they were over international waters, so the order, it doesn't apply anymore. Whoops, oh well. So when Trump was asked about this, he said, I believe we're at war. It's an invasion. Take a listen.
Sir, there's been some criticism that the Alien Enemies Act has only been invoked 3 other times. They were all during times of war. Do you feel that you're using it appropriately right now?
Well, this is a time of war because Biden allowed millions of people, many of them criminals, many of them at the highest level. They emptied jails out. Other nations emptied their jails into the United States. That's an invasion. And these are criminals, many, many criminals. Murderers, drug dealers at the highest level, drug lords, people from mental institutions. That's an invasion. They invaded our country. So this isn't, in that sense, this is war.
So Trump has now openly called for this judge's impeachment, among others. God forbid they defy the king's order. Now, there's a misuse of this Alien Enemies Act. Can we talk about this for a second? Because what's happening here is not just morally reprehensible, it's a blatant violation of constitutional rights. Now, this law was first passed way back in 1798, part of the infamous Alien and Sedition Acts, and it was used to justify mass deportations and internments during wartime. Like I said, this is a barely used, very notoriously horrible law. It was used against Germans, Italians, and Japanese during World War II. It was one of the darkest chapters in American history. This is something that we later acknowledged was a grievous mistake. But Trump doesn't give a damn. He doesn't see this as a mistake. He sees it as a model. And now he's using it to deport people without due process, just sending them back into some hellish prison system in El Salvador. And here's the kicker. Some of these people didn't even have criminal records. Now, a report just came out about this Venezuelan soccer player. His name is Reyes Barrios. Someone who fled Maduro's dictatorship, seeking asylum here, is now being caught up in this dragnet and sent back to one of the most notorious prisons in the world, all because he had some misidentified tattoos. Now, his attorney, Lynette Tobin, released a sworn statement Wednesday night saying that He sought asylum in the United States after being detained and tortured for marching in 2 political demonstrations against Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro. And that his tattoos on his arm, the crown on top of a soccer ball with a rosary and the word Dios, Spanish for God, was chosen by him because it resembles the logo for his favorite Spanish soccer team, Real Madrid. Now, his petition for asylum, it was pending, and there was a hearing scheduled for April, except that he was deported last week into El Salvador without any notice to his family or his attorneys. The fuck are we doing here? This isn't a mistake. This is intentional. Trump is literally trying to normalize extrajudicial actions against so-called bad hombres, as he calls them, to condition the American public to accept these abuses so that when he escalates them on us, no one blinks an eye. This is how authoritarianism creeps in. It doesn't start with mass arrests of political opponents. It starts with testing the waters, seeing what the American public will tolerate. Trump's borders are, Tom Homan, this guy was on Fox News saying, I don't care what the judges think, I don't care. You don't believe me? Listen to him for yourself.
It doesn't look like you're getting support from the Democrats on this. You're going against the judges now. What's next?
Another flight every day. Teams are going to be out there every day. Every day, the men and women of ICE are going to be in the neighborhoods of this nation arresting criminal, illegal alien, public safety threats, and national security threats. Lawrence, you're not going to stop us. We made a promise to the American people. The President Trump has made a promise to the American people. We're going to make this country safe again. I wake up every morning loving my job because I work for the greatest president in the history of my life, and we're going to make this country safe again. I'm proud to be a part of this administration. We're not stopping. I don't care what the judges think. I don't care what the left thinks. We're coming.
Is this fucking guy kidding me? You don't think this bastard wouldn't hesitate to round up Americans next? Be warned, okay? When authoritarianism comes knocking, it never stops at the first door. Now, it doesn't end there. Elon Musk is out here repeatedly posting about how judges should be impeached, and this has been going on for weeks. And this is not by accident. And now he's buying off Republican members of Congress with maximum campaign donations for those who say that they're okay with ousting judges. Let's just impeach them, the ones that don't agree with the Trump administration and what they're doing. I just want to let that sink in for a second. The President of the United States and his biggest donor, Elon Musk, are directly attacking our independent judiciary, a co-equal branch of our government and a pillar of our constitutional order because they don't agree with them, because they're doing their job, questioning the legality of Trump's actions and Musk's. Even the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, John Roberts, even he had to weigh in, and he almost never does that. He stated unequivocally that, quote, impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision, end quote. But let's be honest. Trump and Musk don't give a damn. They don't care about judicial independence. They just care about control. They want to create a system where the judges who rule in their favor are allowed to remain in power, and the ones who don't. It's the first step toward dismantling our rule of law completely. And this is not, I don't say this lightly, because this is where we're headed. Now, if this sounds familiar, it's because we've seen this tactic before, like in Hungary with Viktor Orban, who systematically attacked and replaced independent judges there to ensure the courts would just do his bidding. The same in Turkey with Erdogan, purging the judiciary of anyone who opposed him. And now Trump and his enablers are following the exact same playbook. These are intimidation tactics, not by accident. Now, speaking of intimidation tactics, let's talk DOGE. If you haven't heard already, this past week, DOGE, we've seen how Elon Musk has been using DOGE and using his platform to harass and intimidate not just judges, but government officials and journalists. This past week, DOGE personnel stormed their way into 2 independent nonprofit agencies. You may have seen that Rachel Maddow did a really explosive monologue about this on Wednesday night. Apparently, DOGE staffers were accompanied by, some were reporting as, I guess, U.S. Marshals. They forced their way into the U.S. African Development Foundation. And then there was the incident at the U.S. Institute of Peace, where they forced their way with the help of the D.C. Metro Police Department after staff had already denied them entry. So like, get the hell out of here. Now, the Institute of Peace is dedicated to diplomacy and conflict resolution, started under Reagan's administration, and look at what's happening. I don't understand this. What are we doing? Now DOGE has like armed guards with them. They're into the Institute of Peace. What is happening? Now the police were called to get them to be forced inside because the staffers bravely were like, no, you don't have any jurisdiction here. And amongst all of this chaos, okay, this was a chaotic scene. A federal judge, Beryl Howell, although expressed outrage over the intimidation tactics to get in, she didn't stop them, though, from taking control of this institution. Why? Well, I guess because this brazen abuse of power is just becoming normalized now. I don't know. But that's exactly what Trump and Musk want. This is dangerous. Everything we're witnessing here, the attacks on judges, the abuse of deportation laws, the strong-arming now of independent institutions, is all part of this coordinated effort to dismantle our democracy piece by piece. Trump and Musk are just following this well-worn authoritarian script. They create chaos, delegitimize institutions, consolidate power, and then eliminate the opposition. Now, we need to understand this is just not about them. It's also about their enablers who are letting it happen. Republican figures, they're silent or enabling it. Billionaires bankroll the authoritarian movement. And here we are. But here's the thing. We're not doomed yet. We still have the ability to fight back, but it does require all of us to speak up, to step out. We cannot accept this as our new normal. We have to call out this democratic backslide. We can't do this. Keep holding those politicians accountable. Keep going to those town hall meetings. It means we have to support our institutions that uphold truth and justice without fear. It means making sure that when the history books are written, we're not remembered as the generation that let democracy die. So let me say this again, very loud and clear. This is not normal, and we cannot let them get away with it. Not now, not ever. That's it for this week's Setmayer Sound Off. Like and subscribe. If you want to hear more from me, you can find me at the Seneca Project. Like and subscribe over there. Also, check out my new Substack, Uncompromised with Tara Setmayer. And every Thursday live at 7:30 over at the Seneca Project YouTube, I do my show, The Stakes, with my co-founder, Michelle Kinney. Check us out there. I'll see you next week.
Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.